Hello, students. Myself Rakesh Kumar Meena, and in this video lecture, I will explain the poem Christabel, composed by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Christabel is a story of a witch who casts her evil spell upon an innocent soul. It is a supernatural tale of mystery, horror, wizardry, and wonders. The dream faculty of the poet has given it a very high rank among works of pure creative art. It is one of the three or four masterpieces of Coleridge on which his reputation as one of the great poets of England rests. About these poems, Stafford Brooks remarks, "All that he did excellently well might be bound up in 20 pages, but it should be bound in pure gold." In the opening lines of this poem, the poet writes, "It's the middle of night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock. Too-wit, too-woo, and hark again the crowing cock. How drowsily it crew." The poet wants to say that it is midnight. The clock of the tower of the castle of Christabel's father, Sir Leon, strikes the hour of 12. The owls, with their hooting sounds, have awakened the cock, which begins to crow in a low and drowsy manner. The ticking of the clock, the hooting of the owls, and the crowing of the cock have been charged with an unusual significance which is omnibus by manner of poets' descriptions. Further, in the next lines, the poet writes, "Sir Leoline, the Baron rich, hath a toothless mischief, which from her knell beneath the rock maketh answers to the clock. 4 for the quarters, and 12 for the hours, and ever and a by shine and shower. 16 short howls, not over loud. Some say she sees my lady's shroud." In these lines, the poet says, Christabel's father, Sir Leoline, who is a rich baron, has a bitch with no teeth because she is old. She is in her dog house beneath the rock. She barks in response to the striking of the hour by the tower clock. In all seasons, whether wet or dry, fair or foul, she barks in response to the striking of the clock. There are some clocks which strikes the quarters also, as after every 15 minutes produce a musical sound. When the hour is complete, first they strike 4 times to indicate that 4 quarters have passed, and then they strike the hour. Here the hour is 12. Hence The clock of the tower strikes 4 and 12, and total number is 16 times. In answer to the 16 strokes, the old bitch gives out 16 short growls, which are not very loud. It is her practice to make 16 short subdued growls exactly at midnight when she hears the clock striking. Some people believe that the bitch thus barks because she sees the ghost of Christabel's mother, Lady Leoline. In this stanza, the poet introduces Christabel's dead mother into this poem intentionally. If the poem were completed, she would have defeated the weak influence of the false Geraldine. In the next stanza, the poet writes, "Is the night chilly and dark? The night is chilly but not dark. The thin grey cloud is spread on high. It covers but not hides the sky. The moon is behind and at the full, and yet she looks both small and dull. The night is chill, the cloud is grey. It's a month before the month of May, and the spring comes slowly up this way." In this stanza, the poet gives a description of the night and the weather, which is full of magical beauty. He says that the night is cold but not dark. The cloud is almost transparent, though it overcasts the sky. It does not hide it completely from the view. Behind the semi-transparent thin grey cloud, the moon is easily visible. It is full moon, but shining from behind a thin cloud, it looks smaller than its actual size. At the same time, it looks dull because the thin cloud partially obstructs her light. Being thin, the cloud cannot obstruct the light of the moon. It cannot therefore be a dark or black cloud. Because of the light of the moon filtering through it, it looks grey. It is the month of April and the spring season has just begun. Further in the next stanza, the poet writes, "The lovely Lady Christabel, whom her father loves so well, what makes her in the wood so late? A furlong from the castle gate, she had dreams all yesterday night of her own betrothed knight, and she in the midnight wood will pray for the weal of her lover that's far away." In these lines, the poet wants to say that at this hour of midnight, the beautiful Christabel leaves the castle. She goes to the forest, which is a furlong away from the gate of the castle. The poet fails to understand the reason why Christabel, whom her father loves so dearly, shall go to the forest at this hour of the midnight when it is so cold. He himself gives the answer. He says that last night she had a dream of her dear betrothed knight in the far off lands. That dream is not a happy one. Hence, it has made her anxious about the knight to whom she is engaged. So she has come out to the forest to pray for his health and happiness. Dreams play a large part in supernatural stories. In the next stanza, the poet writes, she stole along the nothing's paw. The sighs she heaved were soft and low, and naught was green upon the oak, but moss and rarest mistoled. She kneels beneath the huge oak tree, and in silence prays she. In these lines, the poet says, Christabel goes stealthily and silently in the forest. There she hears low and gentle sighs. With the exception of lichen and mistletoe, there is no other sign of greenness on the oak tree. Under it, she kneels and prays for her lover. In the next stanza, the poet writes, the lady sprang up suddenly, the lovely Lady Christabel. It mourned as near can be. But what it is, she cannot tell. On the other side, it seems to be of the huge, broad-breasted old oak tree. In these lines, the poet says, the lovely Lady Christabel sprang up suddenly from her prayer. She heard the sound of sighing coming from very near, but she is not definite about it. It appears that it is coming from the other side of the big oak tree, which has its branches spreading in all directions. In the next stanza, the poet writes, the night is chill, the forest bare. Is it the wind that moaneth the bleak? There is not wind enough in the air to move away the ringlet curl from lovely lady's cheek. There is not wind enough to twirl the one red leaf, the last of its clan, that distance as often as dance it can. Hanging so light and hanging so high on the topmost twig that looks up at the sky. In this stanza, the poet gives a vivid description of the atmosphere in which Christabel finds herself beneath the huge oak tree in the forest. The night is cold, there are no leaves on the trees of the forest. In such a condition, there can be nothing on the trees to produce the morning sound. And who can make it? Is it made by the wind? Christabel rejects this possibility because the wind is not even so strong as to move the light coil of her displaced lock of hair that plays on her cheek. Nor is it strong enough to move the single solitary red leaf that hangs loosely and lightly on the topmost twig of the oak tree and dance rapidly whenever there is a gentle breeze. Hence, it becomes clear to Christabel that the moan is she hears is not produced by the wind. In the next lines, the poet writes, "Hush, beating heart of Christabel, Jesus, Mary, shield her way. She folded her arms beneath her lock and stole to other side of the oak. What she sees, see there." In these lines, the poet wants to say that the mysterious morning sound which Christabel has heard makes her heart beat with a lurking fear of evil. She prays to Christ and man, the mother of Christ, to protect her from all harm. She makes a sign of the cross and crosses her hands under her lock in order to ward off evil effect. Then with soft footsteps she goes to the other side of the oak tree. The object that she sees there makes her wonderstruck. Thus, in this stanza, the poet easily and smoothly and in a very artistic manner gives us an idea of the atmosphere of horror and supernaturalism in which Christabel finds herself under the oak tree at the dead of night. And with this, it is the end of this video lecture. In my next videos, we will continue this poem. Thank you.